What is good, YouTube? This your boy Aaron,
It's Brian.
and this is the Courtside View podcast, and we are back today, and we are starting it off in the NFL. And man, NFL draft is here. One of the best times as a sports fan is the NFL draft. So we got a lot to discuss. We have a lot to discuss. There's so much news going out about this draft, specifically about Shedeur Sanders, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Right now, I want to just talk a little bit, number one, about the first round. Let's get down to it. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. Let's go round by round. Now, obviously, everybody knew Cam Ward was going to go number one. Like, there was no question about that. It was the consensus. Travis Hunter going to. Now, the trade, we're going to get into that a little bit later, but the trade, I didn't expect Jacksonville to give up that much for Travis Hunter. You know what I mean? So that was a bit shocking, but we'll continue. Abdul Carter, 3, no surprise. Will Campbell, 4. Mason Graham, 5. He went, a lot of mock drafts have him going around that range. That was surprising. Ashton Genty, 6. Membu, 7, not surprising. Ted McMillan, 8. I know that was Brian's guy. I know he was a bit disappointed about that. Micah Parsons was disappointed as well. Some mock drafts had him going 8, so that wasn't really surprising as well. But then after that
was surprising, man. The Panthers was getting mock defense the entire week, but the day before the draft, now all of a sudden, they could take Ted McMillan. What? Where did this even come from? Stuff is corny, man. I hope that's why the defense is still terrible. They gonna put all them points up and lose because they allowed 35 on the other end. They got a mortal enemy in
me. Well, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. I don't even know if the Cowboys. I heard. We hear reports that the Cowboys were thinking about taking a wide receiver, but you never know when it comes to Jerry Jones and that organization what they would do. So
they absolutely was taking Ted if he was there.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. I ain't gonna. So after this is where things got just spiraled. So the Saints at 9, Kelvin Banks Jr. This they do need offensive line help, but like quarterback play, I don't know. Like people was upset about this pick. Like Saints fans did not like this pick at all. What was your thoughts about this pick?
I like the player. The Saints need a lot more help in that position. I thought they were going to go defense. Honestly, I thought they would have went a Jalen Walker or something, but I guess you want to build up the trenches for Tyler Shuck.
Yes, so.
I don't know. I feel like no matter what, I feel they was in a position where I think the Saints fans would have been upset no matter who they picked, honestly.
Yeah, so after that, Colston Loveland at 10. You're not a big fan of selecting tight ends early, so
no.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either, but I understand the pick. It's not one of those picks where the player, he doesn't fit the scheme. It's just they were just going for a splash. You know what I mean? This pick for them and what they need, which is a tight end that can block and that could also pass catch. This, and then also with their head coach, what he wants to do, it makes a lot of sense. So I don't think this is a bad pick. I do think in terms of the value, I wouldn't say it's that great. But Colston Loveland is an amazing player, and a lot of analysts have him very highly on their draft boards, on their mock drafts, and their rankings. So it's not a terrible pick. I just think they could have got better value or traded down a little bit. But hey, it is what it is. That's the Bears for you. Mykel Williams at 11. How do you feel about this one?
I speak as a Georgia fan, I do not like Mykel Williams that great, especially being the number 1 edge off the board. but I understand why the 49ers picked him because he could be something. But me, this kind of feels like a who was that pass rusher the Raiders took like the I think it was the 2023 draft.
I know. Wait, 2023 draft.
They was I think they was like selecting 8, 9-ish, 7, 8-ish, and they took that Texas Tech edge rusher.
I know you. Ooh, I know you
Tyreek,
talking
was
about
it Tyreek?
Tyreek Williams.
Something like that. But that's what this kind of feels like. Like
Tyree Wilson.
yeah, Tyree Wilson. That's what it kind of feels like to me.
Really?
I don't. I'm not huge on Michael Williams. Honestly, he doesn't like. You watch the film. Okay, he's like winning. I feel like he's a better run defender than a pass rusher. Um, so I think I don't know, 49ers might make it work, but me, I don't expect him to get a whole lot of production in the league.
What about the measurable? 6'5", 260, explosive. He was. I heard.
Great measurables. Great
I
measurables.
heard. For the majority of the season, he was playing on one leg. So like his one part of his leg
Well,
wasn't all that right. I think it was his ankle or something like that, and he was lingering a lot during the season. And I also heard that his snap count was very low compared to some of the other top edge rushers in the draft. I
well,
think
that's a Georgia thing. They swap
yeah,
out linemen,
exactly,
D linemen so much,
exactly.
so you'll never really get like the full picture
Right.
of what the Georgia rushers could be because they always get swapped in and out. That's just the scheme. But when he was on the field, he was like he wasn't just a ghost out there, but it's just like you look at him, okay, he's good, but like he wasn't the best edge rusher on the team.
Right, right. But I will say, because I was listening to Todd Miche break it down a little bit, and I understand why the 49ers took Michael Williams and why he was mocked so high in some drafts is the measurables. And I think this is a perfect spot for him. I
Yeah,
believe him going to the 49ers that have developed great pass rushers in the past, they'll bring him in and they'll develop him correctly. I hope not, because 49ers is the ops. But I think this is a perfect landing spot for him, especially for a guy that is a project. He's not polished yet, but he's a great run defender, and he has all the measurables to be a great edge rusher one day. So I think for the 49ers, this is a perfect pick for them and their scheme and what they like to do. So, hey, man, I understand for the 49ers at least. If the Packers select him, I would have been scratching my head. I'd be like, yo, what the hell? But for the 49ers, I can understand because they know how to develop pass rushers and they're going to bring him along the way. And he's 6'5", 260, explosive. Boy, oh boy, I just hope he doesn't pan. At least for the 49ers. At least for the 49ers. If he goes to like the AFC, one of those teams, then cool. But the 49ers, hell no. I don't, man. All right, Cowboys. We're going to get to the entirety of the draft for the Cowboys from day 1 to day 2. But man, Tyler Booker, how you feeling? They saying his position rank is 2, overall ranking 51.
2.
Yeah, his position for a guard,
That's the
I
best
see.
guard in the draft. All right, so let me get this straight. Let me make this very clear.
Like comparing them to Tyler Smith.
Yeah, they're both named. The names are both Tyler. But let me get one thing straight. I do not dislike the player whatsoever. I like Tyler Booker. His film is good. He's mean. He's a mauler. He will put you on your back. He does the good guard stuff. Not that great of an athlete, but he's playing guard. You're not. I don't really care if you're an athlete at guard. If he wasn't an athlete at tackle, then I'd be like, okay, whoa. But if you're not an athlete at guard, I mean, you're pretty much fighting in a phone booth at guard. So you don't really need a whole bunch of athleticism to really succeed in that position. He's strong. He knows how to move.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem with this pick isn't the fact that we drafted a good player. My problem with the pick is that the process we are going about building the team. If you look
Okay.
at all of our picks, these are great picks. These home run picks. You get 3 first-round talents, arguably in the first 3 rounds of the draft. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're neglecting some of the most important positions on the team, a la wide receiver, running back, it's going to be some head scratching going on amongst the
Right.
fan base.
Right.
And the fact that you spent all these resources and time and energy to sign guards in the off season, just to turn around and say, just to renege and be like, we just want to draft a guard. And I know, replacing a Hall of Fame caliber player, Zach Martin, probably on somewhere near the top priority list. But at the same time, we're going to have all this time to block and nobody to throw to. Like, I
Right.
understand you can never go wrong going trenches and the yada yada. But at the end of the day, we spent so much draft capital these past few years drafting linemen early, drafting linemen late. When are we going to develop these dudes? Like, we can't just keep trying to select linemen every single year, or maybe not every single year, but most years. We need to develop the dudes we already have. What's up with that? And I know it's probably like, well, the new coaching staff is probably like, well, they aren't really our guys, so we don't really have any attachment or want to really develop those dudes because we ain't draft them. But at the same time, it's like, well, something got to shake. So I don't hate Tyler Booker as a player. I just didn't like the process they used this draft. I know everyone wants to be like, oh, they could have traded down, but I'm like, trade down with who and for who? Everyone keeps saying trade down, but you need two. It takes two to tango. If they couldn't find a good deal on a trade down, and they said all the offers were low balls, then I don't blame them for sticking to their board and selecting the top guy on the board.
Yeah. Y'all love guys that are offensive linemen named Tyler.
There's
Tyler
3
Smith,
Tylers on the
Tyler
team, man.
Guyton, Tyler Booker. What the hell is
Also,
going
speaking
on?
of Tyler Guyton, to
Yeah.
me, this isn't Tyler. This isn't a Tyler Guyton type pick. Tyler Booker will be a day one starter easily. He'll be a day one starter. He'll be top 3 on the line most likely. Tyler Guyton is more of a project. Tyler Guyton is more of a pick for this year, this upcoming season. So I think people will, once they start seeing Tyler Booker play, they'll start coming around to the pick. I just need more fans like me and others are upset that they didn't address weapons early in the draft when we were in a prime position to go a Matthew Golden, a Meke Buka, things like that. So, but we see them fall. The second receiver to come off the board wasn't until like 19 to the
Buccaneers. Yeah,
Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
So
So let's go back to a little bit here. Hold on. There we go. So moving on up, we'll talk a little bit more about the Cowboys drafts, but Kenneth Grant going 13. This surprised me a little bit.
Surprising, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that either Nolan or Walter Nolan or Derek Harmon were going to go ahead of Kenneth Grant, but I guess the Miami Dolphins felt differently. They felt like he was more of a value.
Speaking of Walter Nolan, what I've heard from when the Cowboys were picking, they were arguing between 2 players, and it was Tyler Booker and Walter Nolan.
Okay.
Walter Nolan is a heck of a player.
Yeah, he is a hell of a player. It's just he has to put on weight, and I think I always hear about consistency with him, like it's lacking in certain areas, but he pops off. What I hear is he pops off the film, so like he's very explosive as a pass rusher and a person that stops to run. It's just about consistency with him. But Kenneth Grant, I've heard a comparison to what's the guy from the Giants, Dexter Lawrence. I've heard comparisons to Dexter Lawrence, so we'll see how the Lions fare with that. They did develop Christian Wilkins, who became a really good player for them, a Pro Bowl caliber player who ended up leaving to the Raiders. So it seems like the Dolphins are saying, hey, yo, we got to build our trenches back on the defensive line. They went with Kenneth Grant. So it is what it is. Tyler Warren going 14 to the Colts. This was a lot of people's mock drafts. So it's not really surprising that he went to the Colts at 14. Seems like a lot of people had him going there. So nothing really. My thing with the Colts is that it don't matter how many weapons you have. If the quarterback stinks, the quarterback stinks. So like this is going to be the final year for your boy
Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson. This is going to be a fire year for him. If he doesn't succeed this season, then he's going to be a backup for the remainder of his career.
Okay, here's my thing. Okay, listen. I know Tyler Warren will help the offense out, but it's not like you don't have weapons. You have Jonathan Taylor. You have Michael Pittman. You have Alec Pierce. You have AD
Mitchell. Yeah.
Weapons are not the issue with the offense. If anything, you could point towards the defense being lackluster. Like
it's the defense.
And I know y'all say, "Oh, but we drafted Latu in last year." So, what did he do last year? He had what, 4 sacks?
Yeah, he had only 4 sacks. I mean, he was at one point one of the league leaders in pressures. I mean, not pressures, but pass rush win rate. But again, like that didn't result to the defense being all that great.
Exactly.
So I think another edge rusher would have been great for them. Or you could have gone offensive line. I don't think their run blocking was that great, because I was watching games where Jonathan Taylor, I don't know if this is a Jonathan Taylor thing, a play calling thing, but their running game wasn't all that great last year. So they could have went offensive line as well. But yeah, man, I think the number one priority had to be defense in that scenario.
And then you get a tight end that doesn't do traditional tight end stuff. He's more so of a pass catcher and all that stuff. So, like, I don't know, you have all these weapons on the field, but a toddler to utilize them. Like, no disrespect to Anthony Richardson, but like, we haven't seen him be able to consistently hit these dudes even when they are open. So you have all these toys to play with, but the person playing QB has been a dud so far. So I don't know. I would have went Jalen Walker right there and lived with it. Shoot,
yeah. Or go Walter Nolan. Go Walter Nolan.
Too.
They do. But yeah, let's move on. So then we go to the Atlanta. We go to Atlanta. Jalen Walker at 15. Now, what I forgot, because I was watching the film, the highlight reels of him. I forgot how small he is. 6'1", 243. Obviously, he's incredibly talented, and the wingspan is relatively small. So I can see why he fell, because of the measurables aren't that great compared to what you want for your edge rusher. So I can understand why he fell, but he's incredibly talented, as we know. He was the best pass rusher on that Georgia team. Obviously, he doesn't have the measurables of a Michael Williams, but he was the best player on that Georgia defense. And for the Atlanta Falcons to get him at 15 is pretty good. Arguably, why Malachi Starks? Yeah, Malachi Starks over him. Okay, that's fair enough. Because I remember that Texas game. I think it was the first time they played Texas. Maybe I think Malachi Starks had himself a game, I believe. I think Michael Williams may have had himself a game as well. I think both of the pass rushers.
Both of them, they was going crazy against Texas.
They were both going crazy. But yeah, Jalen Walker at 15. How do you feel about it for Atlanta? They do need defense, and I think this was a great pick, me personally. What about you?
I like the pick. The Falcons definitely need help on the defensive end. I feel like their offense is mostly figured out. Mm-hmm. So, hey, get some defense, Give your young quarterback some time to figure things out if things not clicking immediately on the offensive end.
All right. Well, I agree with that. Let's move on. The Cardinals, they went with Walter Nolan. A bit surprising. They probably do need some more defense. I thought maybe they go receiver, maybe they go corner, but Walter Nolan, he's again 6.5 sacks, 14.5 tackles for loss. He's an outstanding player. If he's coached right, he can be really good for them, a really good defensive tackle. He has to put on some weight, but ultimately, I think this pick is really good for them. I think they really need it. It's good to have interior pass rush. So I think this is a good pick. What about you? What do you think?
I like the pick for the Cardinals. They were pretty weak in the interior last year. They was getting gashed in the run game a lot. And I thought most mocks, they was going to go corner or something.
Mm-hmm.
But as you see later, if you was watching the draft last night, they went and got the corner they probably wanted in the first place. So, hey.
Right.
Sounds like good drafting. Yeah, sounds like good drafting to me.
They did a great job. So then This one, I'm scratching my head. So, Bengals. Listen, Bengals. I get it. I understand. He has the measurable 6'5", 267. I get it. I get it. But come on, man. Look at this. 11 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks in 3 seasons with Texas A&M. But his tape is better than his production. He is physical and explosive player who gets off the ball well, shoots his hands, and uses his long arms to press blockers off his frame. He chases with great effort and flashes excellent closing speed. He overpowers past blockers and is flexible enough to bend at the top of his rush. He has an outstanding combine workout, obviously. 4.59 40-yard dash, which was fourth at his positions. I get it, Danielle Hunter. I get it, but listen, he's a project. Do they have the right coaching to coach him up? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. I think this is a huge risk. If this was like the 49ers, if this was a team that's known for developing pass rush, yes, they have Trey Hendrickson. He's a phenomenal player. But man, this is such a big risk for them. What did you say about this? How you feel about this pick for the Bengals?
Okay. For Shamar Stewart, him as a player, I think he has the potential to be good. The problem is the way I look at edges in production in college or lack thereof production. If you don't produce in college, the odds of you producing in the league isn't very high. And he's a freak athlete. He has all the measurables and traits that you would want. He's fast. He's quick. His first step is nice. He gets, he has long arms. He has everything you need. He's a project pass rusher, but you couldn't produce. And it didn't help that you played in the SEC where you played against pretty solid lines and you couldn't produce. You got 4.5 sacks in 3 years. That's. I'm sorry. I'm not banking my future on that. That's just me. If I was a team that had time to develop him, but the Bengals are kind of in win now mode. You signed Joe Burrow, you signed Jamar Chase, you signed T. Higgins. You are making win now moves. And this to me isn't a win now move, a win now type player getting Shamar Stewart in the top 20. I feel like you possibly could have traded back and got him at in the mid 20s. But hey, I'm not a huge fan of Shamar Stewart. I like production in college. You got to be able to finish plays in the big boy league. So hopefully it works out for him. If I don't know what's going on, what happened in college, maybe something happened because he couldn't finish plays, and he figures it out in the league. Hey, that's fantastic. But as it stands right now, I'm not a fan of the pick.
I think they should have went interior defensive line. Go Derek Harmon. He's more of a polished player. He would have helped them instantly. Again, they're trying to compete right away. They feel like, last season I think they had 9 wins. Listen, they feel like with Joe Burrow, with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, they're trying to win a championship. And to have a guy that's a project come in, he's expected to compete right away. I think Derek Harmon would have been a better pick for them. Even though he's an interior defensive lineman, he still has pass rush capabilities. He would have brought a lot to the table that they need on that defensive line. I think this was a mistake for them because, again, they're not in a rebuilding phase and they're not a team that is just good defensively right now. And they don't have and they're bringing in a new defensive coordinator. They got rid of that Lou Anarumo, who was fantastic for them. I just don't like the way that this is going for them. This just seems like a pick that is a huge risk, and I just don't like it. So, anywho, let's continue. We have Seattle real quick. We don't really have to talk too much. Greg Zabel at 18. Yeah, I mean, they do need offensive line help. It was one of the worst in the league last year, so it makes sense. This surprised me.
Yes, I was.
Emeka Egbuka at 19 really shocked me because.
So what does this pick say about Chris Godwin? I know they re-signed him to come back with the team, but they still went and got wide receiver in the first anyway.
Right.
Which is very surprising to me because Jalen McMillan, he had a good year last year.
Absolutely.
So they was going to roll with him at wide receiver 3. But I think this tells you that Chris Godwin recovery probably isn't going as they expected. and he may not
Right.
be available for most of the season next year. So they say we need someone that's going to come in day one, know how to run routes, know how to play inside and out, and that's. I mean, shoot, I don't blame him. Like Baker had a phenomenal year last year. Give him more weapons.
But 19 pick though, you could have got somebody in the second or third round. Like I understand, I like Emeka Ibuka, but man, like remember that dude. When Godwin got hurt, that other guy stepped up for them. I think he's from Washington, I believe it is.
Jalen
That,
McMillan.
yeah, man, like he stepped up. He was pretty good for them.
He did.
And I just think that, man, they could have addressed so many other needs, maybe safety, maybe pass rush, and they just went for a flashy player. I get it. Like, yes, you want to give Baker more weapons, but dude, you could have waited to like the second round to get somebody. Or maybe trade up in the second round, maybe get a Luther Burden or somebody. I like Emeka Ibuka, but damn, like just what you need, man. I just don't think that was a good pick for them and what they needed. So, anywho, let's move on. Let me share my screen again. All right. So then we have Broncos. I thought they would go Omarion Hampton. They went Jahdae Barron. I like this pick. You have two corners. Their defense is going to be phenomenal. Like they signed all those players in free agency, and now on the defensive side, and now they bring in arguably the best corner in the draft, not named Travis Hunter. This dude right here, man, like I think he won the award in college for the best corner. This guy, he's gonna be a difference maker for this team. You have Patrick Surtain and him on the other side. Oh my god, shoot. Bo Nix, they're gonna give him a lot of opportunities.
Oh yeah,
that defense is gonna be locked down. They were already pretty decent, but now they're like, we want to be a great defense. We don't want to be a good defense. We want to be a great defense because they saw what happened in that Buffalo playoff game. Buffalo was just going down the field, doing whatever they want. They're like, listen, that's not gonna happen again.
Yep.
Woo! That Bronco,
Jahdae Barron, great pick, man. Now you put other teams in a position where you can't really ignore one side of the field and just target the same dude. Nah, you got two dogs on the team now, so you have to pick your poison on that one. So yeah, Broncos they made some good. They having a really good offseason. I like this pick. Jahdae Barron was my number 1/2 corner if you want to count Travis Hunter, obviously. But yeah.
Some of the concerns: average arm, average size, small arms. You know what I mean? Small arms. But I think he'll be fine in the league. He's just phenomenal. His timing, his technique. He's very technically sound.
And he's physical.
He's physical. I like the pick. Here we go. Pittsburgh at 21. Derek Harmon. 6'5", 313. He's a physical freak of nature. But man, they need a quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers is going to the Steelers, I understand, but good God, man. He's going to be great for the team, though.
Derek Harmon's a good player, but what are the Steelers doing? Like, seriously, didn't they just draft Keanu Benton?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know. It seems like the Steelers is doing stuff at this point. I feel like they like the AFC Cowboys at this point because they got the layups right in their face, and then they're gonna take the 3-pointer. And it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just I don't know what Mike Tomlin be cooking up over there, but Derek Harmon's a good player. I think he'll be good for them.
Fantastic player.
The Steelers is just
they need offensive linemen.
Whatever.
They need offensive linemen. I don't know why they're not investing.
They probably think that we just drafted dude last year. I forgot
dude last year. Yeah.
I think he was from Georgia.
Yeah, I think it was Georgia. Yeah.
First round picks. I should know this, because he was a guy that I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, it was Troy
Fautino.
Yeah, him.
Troy Fats. Yeah, Troy
Fautino.
Yeah. Yes. So I don't know. I guess that makes sense.
And Broderick Jones. Remember Broderick Jones in 2020?
Oh yeah, Broderick Jones. Yeah, they did take. Yeah, so.
But they still need more help on that offensive line. Broderick Jones wasn't all that great for them last year.
He wasn't good at all.
So for them to go defense, I like Derek Harmon. He's going to be great for them. Future D tackle for them. He's going to be phenomenal. But like, man, that is such a reach. Well, not a reach, but like, man, they could have gone offensive lineman. I mean, his position rank is 2. He's the 15th overall best player. So I understand the value in that. Man,
Right.
Amarion Hampton going 22 to the Chargers. This is where he was projected around this range. So it doesn't surprise me. The Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, excuse me, he values the running game a lot. So I don't see why they wouldn't. They brought in Najee Harris, Amarion Hampton. He brings a different element to that running game. Makes a lot of sense for them. Makes a lot of sense. What do you think?
Strong physical runner, not
Mm-hmm.
super fast, but that Chargers team, in my opinion, still liking speed. Amari Hampton doesn't really solve that issue, but he can still get out and run. You run a 4.4, you run in the you could break. You got breakaway speed. Amari Hampton, he could bend that corner a little bit. He could hit a home run every now and then, but I think down to down, you need a 3-down back, and he's going
Right.
to play physical ball. He fits Jim Harbaugh scheme perfectly, in my opinion. So I'm not mad at the pick.
Yeah.
Because last year that run game was abysmal.
It was with for the
once J.K.
part.
Dobbins started slowing down and with injuries and stuff, then it became abysmal. They couldn't really run the ball all that much later half of the season. So
this is going to be great for Justin Herbert because he needs some help. I will say though that they need a receiver. You know what I mean? I don't know if they drafted. We'll see later on. But they need a receiver. I don't know if they drafted one in the later rounds, but I'll check. But man, they needed a receiver right there. But thank God,
draft a receiver. They did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
I think they took.
Let me check.
Dang, I know the name. I just was it.
Let me check. Chargers. Trey Harris.
Not
Okay.
Bad, not bad.
Okay. So. Well, I'm glad they didn't draft a receiver in the first round because
brother, we do not have any phone lines. But if you want to type something in the chat, we will respond to you.
Absolutely. But check this out. At 23, this is why I'm glad the Chargers didn't take a receiver because my guy, the number 1 player on my board for who I want the Packers to draft, went to the Packers. Matthew Golden, I have to say, one of the best entrances I've ever seen in the NFL draft. Like when he got drafted, just the atmosphere, everybody was excited, the fan base. He was real calm, real like he felt like he was too cool, got the chain on. That shit was smooth.
That suit wasn't tough though. I'm gonna keep it a stack. That suit wasn't tough.
All right, listen. I'm not talking about the suit.
The fits on draft night was a little.
It was a little iffy. But I will say though, the fact that he was real cool with it came out. The fireworks were in the background. Had the Outkast UGK song. Like I was like, damn, this shit is like it's like a movie. It's like a movie. But anywho, I love the pick. This was a position of need. I said this in the previous podcast. I was like, yo, Packers, the number 1 need, wide receiver. We lost to the Eagles mainly because our wide receivers sucked. There was a graphic on the NFL draft on ESPN that said the Packers were like number 1 in drops from receivers.
Yes, y'all were.
So guess what we need? Receivers. And I am so happy we got arguably the best receiver in the draft. You believe it's Tet, but arguments can be made. Steve Smith said Matthew Golden is the best. So man, I am so happy because again, he does everything we need. He's fast. He can run routes. He can win one-on-ones. He's great on contested catches. This dude is exactly what the Packers need, and Jordan Love is going to love him, man. No pun intended.
I'm super high on Matthew Golden. I wanted my team to take him at 12. The only downside for this pick I can see for the Packers, he's a great receiver, great route runner, good catch radius, all that stuff. He's quick. He's kind of, in my opinion, I don't think Matthew Golden is a number one receiver in this league. I'm gonna be
Mm,
honest. I don't think he's a number one receiver. I do think he's a high end two guy, a
okay.
la like a Chris Godwin or something like that. But I
Okay.
don't see him as the number one receiver that the Packers needed. If y'all paired him with a guy that's a solidified one, like y'all could have got him in free agency. Maybe if you bought Devontae Adams back then, this pick would have been a super duper home run.
Okay.
But I don't think he's going to be the one to super duper elevate that wide receiver room to like, okay, we can compete with the Eagles and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
now. I think this is a good building block to rebuilding that wide receiver room because y'all had a bunch of Jags before.
Oh
And
my
now
God.
you got a
Yo.
dude that is going to be much better at doing wide receiver things. And so it's still a good pick. I just wouldn't expect him to come in and be like a day one. Oh, he's number one dog. He's going to be number one receiver for 10 years. Like I wouldn't go that far, but he will be that high end number two guy if y'all are able
Okay.
to snag a number one guy in the future or whatever.
Okay. No, that sounds about right. I understand that. Matt Miller, his comp that he has for him is Garrett Wilson, which if he's Garrett Wilson, oh boy.
I don't. Garrett Wilson, he's more twitchier. I think he's
Yeah,
faster
he
on
is
film.
way more twitchier, yeah, for sure.
Route runner, I think Derrick Wilson, I think his hands is better. He's just a souped up version. Derrick Wilson just a more souped up, twitchy version of Matthew
I will
Golden, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree with that one. I think that's a bit too much, but hey, if he's as productive as Garrett Wilson, I'll take it. Shit. But anywho, let's speed on down. Let's speed on down. We have Donovan Jackson at 24. Look, a bit surprising. I thought they were maybe go corner, maybe go interior defense, but Donovan Jackson, they do need some help on the offensive line. One of the glaring weaknesses against the Rams was offensive line for them. So Donovan Jackson at 24 for the Vikings makes a lot of sense. What about you? What do you think, real quick?
Yeah, Donovan Jackson, good pick. I think Sam Darnold, not Sam, well, Sam Darnold not there anymore, but Sam Darnold did struggle with
A lot.
interior pressure last year, and like he would freeze up at times when D tackles and interior guys was close to his face. So I'm pretty sure they want to protect JJ McCarthy going in the future because you build up the inside of that line, it makes stuff a lot. You can scheme around edge pressures and all that stuff, but you can't scheme around interior pressure. So
Right.
building up that offensive line for your young QB that's going to be his first year starting after coming off injury makes sense to me.
You also want to be able to utilize play action as well. And when you don't have the
Exactly.
protection, then that's a problem. You're going to be one dimensional. So it was a good pick for them. I mean, it was a well needed pick for them. I just thought they were going to go more defense, but hey, it is what it is. Wow.
This is nearly incomprehensible.
All time. This is an all time reach right here.
You traded up to get this guy. The bad part is you selected him at 25. The worst part is you traded up to get him. Did you? I know you saw the clip. I put in the group chat. You saw that clip of him on John Gruden's thing he does. His snap count was a clap.
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, this is gonna be the guy to lead our team. And no, absolutely not. Let me tell you something. If you draft a QB from Ole Miss or Tennessee, you get everything you deserve and more. Because them schemes are not, what's the word? Those schemes are not
Comparable to the
NFL.
NFL.
Exactly. Those are not going to be schemes
not
that's going to
NFL
prepare you
offense.
for the NFL.
They're not pro
Like
style offense.
straight like that. It's really not. And oh my gosh, it's just, I don't understand. The Giants is going to be the Giants forever. I thought they were just going to wait it out, maybe try to get a QB next year. They figured they wasn't going to be all that great. But then you go and trade up for Jackson Dart, and it's just like, do y'all hate your fans? And I'm gonna claim it right here. I think Brian Dable and Joe Shue, y'all are gone after this year. Cause y'all want to trade up and get this dude, and he's not gonna be that good. If Jackson Dart ends up being good, well, then slap me upside the head with a frying pan. But I don't see it. I really don't. I don't see that play style he was at Ole Miss translating into the league. I'm just sorry. They don't that system that they run, Lane Kiffin and them. it is not conclusive to winning. We've seen this plenty of years before with Ole Miss QBs. I know people say, "Oh, don't scout the helmet," but when they don't produce talent at the NFL level that pans out, what are we supposed to do?
It's the same. It's like remember when we were criticizing Georgia QBs in the transition? It's like it's the same thing. It's like, yo, that offense just not conducive to a pro style offense in the NFL, and it's going to be very hard for those QBs to make that transition. I want to say, did you see Brian Daboll's reaction when he made the call to Jackson Dart?
No,
He didn't look happy at all. He did not look happy at all.
I wouldn't be happy either.
I don't know. I don't know if this was a Brian Daboll call or not. It felt like it was. I don't think it was. I think this might have been like the GM and maybe
like
the
owner put pressure on the GM to be like, hey, we need a QB.
Yeah.
And we need a QB that's going to be here past this year. I know they signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston to like 1 year deals or whatever, but they probably say, hey, we need a future QB now. There's no guarantee we are bad enough to get a top QB next year. They will be. So they probably put pressure on us. Hey, we got to get a guy. And
this is just a colossal
mistake. This is just a mismanagement of resources, in my opinion.
This is just an organizational clusterfuck. Like they just don't have any plan. It just seems like a disaster. It just seems like a disaster. Let's move on. This was another one that kind of I was scratching my head. James Pierce Jr. The Falcons trade up to get James Pierce Jr. Now I understand the talent. He's rank 16, position rank 4, 6'5", 240. You know, a lot thinner than what you want for your edge, but like 6'5" is ridiculous. Explosive, sub 4.5, 40. I get it.
Produced a lot in college.
Yeah, produced a lot in college. He also, I think his snap count wasn't all that high, if I recall. So he was getting 8 sacks and wasn't getting a whole lot of snaps, which is absurd. It's just the off the field stuff, the character concerns, and then he was being projected in like the second round. I just think the Falcons, it's a big risk. It's a big risk. And I think going to Atlanta, that area, I think he need to go to a place like Green Bay, maybe New England, somewhere where it's not a lot of stuff to do. And then there, you always mention Brian, how does he care about football and stuff? What was your thoughts on Atlanta going edge again and trading up to select James Pierce Jr. real quick?
Okay. I like James Pierce Jr. I think he's in my opinion, he's like a top 3 edge in this class, in my opinion. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. So from a talent perspective, I don't hate it. I actually like it for them. But do you know the parameters of the trade up? Like what did they give up? I've saw it before, but so many trades happened. I think I want to say they gave up their first the next year.
Let me see.
And some seconds.
Falcons and Rams trade. NFL
if that's the case, then
let me see here. Okay, here we go. See. Okay, let me share my screen. So it says, Rams sent 26 pick and 101 pick to the Falcons in exchange for a 46 pick, 242nd pick in the second round pick, and a 2026 first round pick. So they gave up next year's first round pick for James Pierce Jr.
That's where my problem lies. If he was projected, I don't know if they got word from somebody that, hey, this team after the Rams could draft him. Maybe they didn't want the Eagles to get their hands on him, because I think the Eagles probably would have took that risk.
Mm-hmm.
So they was like, listen, if we really like this player, we're going to jump up and get him. Can't really fault him for that, but man, that's kind of a lot. That's kind of a lot. I feel like, yeah, that's kind of a lot. But hey, they got the guys they wanted. They probably won't have to worry about going defense next year if he pans out. So Hey, I don't know what the edge class looks like next year,
Me either.
but maybe they looked in the future. Hey, these guys, are they really going to be that better than this dude? Probably not. And they just say, hey, screw it, throw the first away.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got pick 27, which is this was the consensus pick. Malachi Starks, great pick for the Ravens. They're going to be great defensively in the secondary, so I like the pick a lot for them. Malachi Starks, arguably the best player on that Georgia defense. He made a ton of plays for them, so it's a great pick. How you feel about the pick, real quick?
Hey, man, the Ravens continue to just go BPA year after year, and it continues to pan out. They're not worried about, they got needs, like especially offensively, but they said, hey,
Mm-hmm.
safety is a sneaky need as well because last year Marcus Williams was sneaking up the joint. So,
Mm-hmm.
hey, go get the best safety in the draft and plug and play. He's going to be that tandem with Kyle Williams is going to be insane.
All right.
So, great pick.
All right. So then, just real quick, we're going to skim through a lot of stuff. Tyleek Williams, good player, but I felt like the Lions reached a little bit. I thought he was going to go maybe second round, so they kind of reached in the first round for Tyleek Williams. I mean, they do with all the injuries last year. He's going to help with the run, stopping the run, a little bit of pass rush ability, but I felt like he was going to go a little bit later. So for them to draft him that late, I mean, that early, position rank 59, position rank 8 was a bit surprising. How did you feel about this pick, real
Yeah, I
quick?
did feel like that was a little bit of a reach. I
Yeah.
saw him being mocked or projected like mid second, maybe late second round.
Mm-hmm.
But if they feel like he can come in day one and beef up that interior D line, hey, I mean, I think they got Aleem McNeil. He went out last year and he's like
Yeah.
an interior guy. So hey, do what you got to
Right.
do. I
Right.
thought they would have went like edge right here. I think Izaraka would have been a great pick at that range, but
Yeah. Yeah. Commanders, Josh Connery Jr., offensive lineman. They do need some offensive line
let,
help, but
let
I
me
thought
tell
they were
you
going to go a little
something.
different. What?
I do not. I actually think this is a solid pick for them. You got a young QB who's known for running. You probably don't want him to do that too much. So the best way to do that is to get protection on the edges. Now, I think they're going to try to move him to right tackle, even though he played
Mm-hmm.
left in college, because they got Laramie Tunsil in the offseason via trade. So they're definitely going to try to trade. I don't know if he can play right tackle. I'm not
Right.
sure because it's like people think the transition is easy. Like, no, it's like
No.
you're
No.
it's like learning to write with your other hand, with your non-dominant hand. So it's going to be a bit of a adjustment period. But I don't hate the pick. You want to beef up the trenches. I know people might rather see defense early or stuff like that. But and let me tell you something. You know what I do for work and stuff. And I work a commander show.
Mm-hmm.
And the callers that called in that following morning, that Friday morning, it was hilarious. These
They
dudes
pissed.
they was arguing. It was pandemonium. It
Oh,
was some
man.
dudes that was cool with it, but the people that weren't happy with the pick really weren't happy with the pick. They wanted anybody else but that guy. They did not like this pick at all. But I think it'll work out for them if he can successfully transition, make that switch from left to right, and be good player. I don't see the problem.
Yeah, and then with all the defensive linemen in the NFC East, it makes a lot of sense that they would go offensive line, offensive tackle to protect Jaden Daniels against these pass rushers, defensive linemen in the NFC East, because it's kind of ridiculous right now.
And I think Commanders fans kind of overestimated their rank amongst the top teams. Let me explain it like this. Most teams that draft in that area, their roster is pretty
Set in
stout.
stone.
Their roster is pretty stout. They have dudes but the Commanders are a special case because they got to the NFC Championship game pretty much off the backs of Jaden Daniels and the
Hmm.
defense being opportunistic. They weren't really in a position to where we can just get the best player on our board because we are knocking on the door of a championship. That roster still has a lot of holes, and you still want to build the roster for the future. Like Jaden Davis, he's going to be a franchise starter for 10 plus years, unless
Hmm.
something catastrophic happens. Lord willing, that doesn't happen. But you want to get guys that's going to be there for the long run. Like, yeah, flashy picks and all that stuff. But what is going to make you a contender year to year? You can't look at it from we got a championship window, we got to attack it now. No, that could have been a fluke year for all we know. You want to get guys that's going to be there for the foreseeable future and make you perennial contenders. I think this kind of pick does put them in a position to do that.
Yeah. So moving on, we have the Bills at 30. Maxwell Harrison,
Right.
good pick. Yeah, yeah.
Like the pick, but I feel like you could have got a better corner at that position. I
Hmm.
think this is kind of a reach. Maxwell Harrison is mostly a slot guy or a nickel guy. Um, did they need nickel help? I mean, I know they traded Kyer Alam to the Cowboys, but I don't know. I feel like he could be decent for them. I think he's a pretty solid athlete. But yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Felt like they needed pass rush help.
I
So
thought they was going to
thought they would
go
go pass rush
D line.
help.
I thought they was going to go edge. So, but
Yeah, yeah. Whatever. Eagles 31 got Jahad Campbell, off ball linebacker.
of
Pretty
course.
good. Number one at the position. Good depth piece for them.
Now,
So
if you're wondering why, what I've heard, and people are like, why? How did he fall? Blah, blah, blah. He was getting marked like top 20. He fell because allegedly he had shoulder surgery, and
okay.
allegedly he needs another shoulder surgery. So
Mm,
that's probably why he failed due to medicals and stuff like that. But the Eagles getting top tier talent late round yet again.
okay. All right. And then
Disgusting.
the last pick of the first round is Josh Simmons at
This
32.
that was a home run. Josh Simmons is my number one tackle in the draft. The AC, I think it was ACL he tore. It
Yeah.
must be. I heard he was progressing nicely on the road to recovery. You get the number one tackle at pick 32. Got no complaints out of me. That's a phenomenal pick.
It says he torn his patella
Oh,
tendon.
patella tendon. Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. But they're saying he's progressing fine. He'll be cleared in August. So yeah, man, this is a great pick for the Chiefs because again, their offensive line was really shaky last year, especially in that Super Bowl. So to get him at 32 makes a lot of sense. Real quick, moving on. Let's see, round two. Um, let's see
Let's
here.
just talk about our team's
Yeah. Let's
second and third.
so
Let's do that.
so yeah, that was round one. So all right, here we go. So for the Packers already talked about Matthew Golden, love the pick. Round two, we went offensive lineman, Anthony Belton. I've heard a lot of good things about him. Dude is 6'6", 336. The guy, he's going to help a lot with our offensive line because part of our offensive line wasn't that great when it came to like just being good in the run game. We weren't the greatest. We were one of the worst at run win rate or something like that for offensive linemen. So he's going to add a lot to that, and he's going to bring size. He's going to bring physicality. And then for round three, we went offense again. I was a bit shocked at this. Xavier Williams, my
Oh,
former teammate on Road to Glory. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, he's a jack of all trades. He's a being compared to like Cordell Patterson. I've heard a lot. The dude, he's 6'4", 222. Looking at his, let me see, they have his 40. But yeah, 6'4", 222. He can do a lot of different things. So I like him. Going to be a gadget guy for us. Can return kicks. And yeah, man, I love the pick. I love what the Packers did this draft. I do wish they could have gone defense, but I understand what they were trying to do, the message they were sending to the team, and that is the wide receiver room is just not good enough. We need to improve it significantly. The guys that are in the wide receiver room, the GM, the organization understands they cost us that playoff game against the Eagles. We need to bring in some new talent. We need to bring in guys that will hold the wide receivers accountable and will push them to, because again, like when you are number one in drops, that is just inexcusable. So I like that the Packers went offense and then offensive line as well. Bolstered the offensive line, bolstered the running attack because Josh Jacobs, a lot of times he was making something out of nothing. So I like the picks. Cowboys. Just talk briefly about Cowboys. Let me get to the picks real quick. Got your corner. Round 2, how did you feel? Round 2?
That's round 3.
Oh, round 3, excuse me. Yeah,
Round
right,
2
right.
was Donovan Izaraku at
Donovan
44.
Izaraku. That's another
Yeah.
dude I wanted for the Packers.
Listen,
How do you feel?
listen. These picks aren't the flashiest. They aren't the offensive weapons people want. But let me tell you, we got some good players at great value, mind you. Donovan Izaraku, in my opinion, he should have went probably in the first round. I think he's a top 3, 4 at worst edge in this entire class. He's a clear first round talent. The only knock on him would be he's not big, his size profile. He's like 6'1", 240 something. So
6'3".
he's kind of
6'3".
he's 6'3".
Yeah, 248.
I heard 6'1" somewhere, but anyway, he's about the size of Michael Parsons, and but thing is, his run defense. He's actually solid in the run game as compared to like a Mike Green, who's really just a pure pass rusher. Run defense is lackluster, but this is a guy we'll be able to play on first through third downs because of that, and I think that's a great value pick, man. I wanted a receiver. I wanted to go like a Kyle Williams or something, or some type of
Luther
Caleb
Burden.
Johnson, even running back, But Luther Burden got picked.
I know.
Ahead of him, which is
But you could have
the
tried
Bears,
to trade up.
The Bears just be doing stuff, but
They do.
we could have traded up. But hey, man, they Donovan Izaraku, a heck of a player. As far as the third round pick, Siobhan Revel Jr. This dude, if he ain't tear his ACL, he would have been a top 3 corner off the board. And they say he's supposed to be good by July. So we still don't know if he'll be ready week 1, but I don't think this team is ready to compete this year. They're just trying to get as much pieces as possible in positions that they really need.
Right.
But man, Siobhan Revel, this is great value. This is a first round talent we got in the third round. So I'm not complaining at all.
So you're not mad that they didn't select a receiver in the first 3 rounds?
I'm a little disappointed in that department because I think the offense needs more help. But they've been talking about trades in the works and stuff. Who knows if that bears any fruit, or they're just selling Cowboys fans a dream like always. But I'm upset that we couldn't get a weapon. But as far as the players we did draft, I ain't mad at that.
All right.
You get 3 first round starters. First round talents in first 3 picks. The only thing you could complain about is not the position you probably wanted to draft. So hey.
All right. Well, now let's get to the number 1 story. That is Shedeur Sanders. Here we go. Shedeur Sanders has not been drafted. We are in day 3 of the NFL draft. He was projected to go in the first round, maybe even early second. And we're still waiting for him to get his name called. Guys like Dylan Gabriel. Let me see here. Let me show
Tyler freaking Shuck, man.
Let's just go. All right. So we know Cam Ward got drafted, and then Jackson Dart they moved up in the draft in 25 to select Jackson Dart, which was a huge reach. But then we go round 2, and Tyler Shuck goes in round 2 to the Saints. And this was a team that was projected to maybe grab Shedeur Sanders, and they just decided they didn't want Shedeur Sanders. And everybody and their mama knows that Shedeur Sanders is better than Tyler Shuck. So that was a bit surprising. And then we go round 3. This is when people was like, all right, bro, like there's something going on. There's something 50 going on. And where is it? Dylan Gabriel to the Browns. This is when folks was like, all right, bro, like
10th
position ranked
QB.
10. People was like, all right, bro, like the NFL, something's fishy going on. And projected be Kellen Moore. That's interesting. But anywho, Dylan Gabriel going over Shedeur Sanders. That's when it was like, all right, bro, like something's fishy. Because I ain't gonna hold you. During the first round, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, he has some baggage. He's never gotten in trouble, but he does have some baggage. And the fact that he doesn't have any elite traits, I can be like, all right, I see why teams probably didn't want him in the first round. So he'll go in the second round. But then he didn't even get drafted in the second round. And then he didn't even get drafted in the third round. It's like, whoa. All right, something's up right here. So, with that being said, what was your thoughts? What is your reaction to Shedeur Sanders not even being drafted in day one or day two?
That is it's inexcusable. I don't care what anybody said. People gonna try to cope and lie and talk about something. Well, the tape says he's better than them dudes that got drafted ahead of him. There's no way in the world you looked at his tape and saw Jackson Dart's tape, Tyler Shuck's tape, Dylan freaking Gabriel's tape, Jalen Milroe tape, and said, "Oh yeah, these QBs are better than him." Like this is blatant. I mean, blatant collusion. Something is going on. The smear
Mm-hmm.
campaign that they ran on this young man before the draft came out is absolutely insurmountable. And I feel like it's not even because of him. I feel like it's because of Dion.
Yeah,
I don't even
yeah,
think it's because of Shedeur as a like. In my opinion, Shedeur just has. He's just a confident individual. He could come off as arrogance depending on what type of personality you are. But I feel like this is more of a statement against Dion than it is against Shedeur. They probably don't
really.
like all the theatrics. They probably don't like the media attention and how he was talking. Dion was talking about some pulling the Eli Manning or whatever. They think that thing. I really think it's Dion's fault. I think he's the one that teams are trying to avoid baggage with. Who knows if he'll do any meddling or anything? That's probably what they're thinking. I don't even think it's about Shadeur's talent. I think Shedeur, he threw for 4,000 yards, 37 touchdowns last year with a team that has like next to no blocking on the O line. And during Big 12 football, he had good performances. So I'm not sure what's going on because it's clearly nothing on the field. It's clearly nothing on the field. It has to be all off the field foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think this is if he doesn't get drafted today, I think he's definitely getting drafted today. But if he doesn't, like this is some bull. Like this is honestly disgusting. We've seen bum players. They took Kenny Pickett in the first round a few years ago, and you gonna tell me Shedeur Sanders? Hey man, stop it, stop it, cut it out, cut it out. Matt Corral went in the second round. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to hear it.
Yeah.
This dude can flat out play.
No, I agree with you. It's tricky. This is tricky because on one hand, I'm looking at it and I feel like at worst he's a second round pick. At
At
worst,
worst,
at worst, and for them to not draft him at all at this point, we're in day three and he still doesn't have a team that to go to is egregious. But we also have to condemn a little bit on this from Shedeur Sanders. I think yes, we have talked a lot about Shedeur over this year. I remember during the beginning of the season his comments towards about just pass protection, not having a whole lot. People felt like he was throwing his offensive lineman, under the bus and stuff like that. And I felt that initially, but after just watching more games, understanding him as the person, I realized that he's not who people think he is in terms of this diva, in terms of this guy that teammates don't like him because his a lot of his teammates do like him and a lot of his teammates do like his leadership. But again, how he presents himself is very important. I feel like he's presented himself horribly in this sense. I guess in interviews, he came across to NFL GMs and scouts as cocky, as arrogant. Um, the way Gian, like I just showed that tweet in terms of pulling like a Manning and stuff like that is very alarming as well. And not having any elite traits to show for is going to make NFL teams put their foot down. And I believe this is a statement. I don't think it's a race thing necessarily. I just think that in terms of the way college football is going and the way that these athletes are getting paid now and the entitlement and the lack of self-awareness that is going on with a lot of these players. I think the NFL they're making a statement to a lot of these players that want to go into the NFL that, this is a professional league that they value certain things that you need to have in order to come into this league. This is a profession. This is a business. You are getting paid a boatload of money with a lot of people's jobs on the line. And they look at Shedeur and with the old, they have these old values in place, these NFL organizations. They look at Shedeur as somebody that goes against all the values that they believe in. And they want to send a message. They want to humble this man. And it's unfortunate. I do think that Shedeur is to blame to some of this because the way he presents himself is just a bad look. The way he's talked in interviews, the way he's talked. I remember there was this clip going around recently about him in the combine when he was being interviewed. The way he's presenting himself is not good at all. And I think because of that, he's hurt his draft stock and he's going to get picked in the later rounds. Hopefully, he gets picked in later rounds. So he doesn't go undrafted because he's just too talented. But I just think NFL teams are being ridiculous at this point.
Listen, when you got multiple NFL players coming out saying this is ridiculous, then you know something is up.
Johnny Manziel winning the first round. Johnny Manziel winning the first round.
Pat Mahomes is like, okay, this is getting out of hand now. Like a bunch of players was okay, what is going on here? Oh, we got a comment. Let's see what the comment says. It better be intelligent. The NFL owners are colluding not to draft Shedeur. I don't think he's getting drafted. If Shedeur doesn't get drafted, there needs to be some lawsuits happening because this is ridiculous.
Facts.
We've seen way worse players come into the league and not get drafted and get drafted. Shoot, first of all, let's talk about character concerns. Man, the Ravens drafted a dude who had sexual assault allegations dating all the way back to high school. I'm not trying to hear now the NFL is trying to be, oh, Mr. Character, your team's character. Man, forget all that. There's some wicked dudes that came into this league. Deshaun Watson is still employed, got $300 million, not $200 million a few years ago. This character stuff is blown out of proportion. I'm not trying to hear it. It's not 96 better college players in this draft. Exactly. Bro, every mock draft had Shedeur Sanders going in the top 10.
They just recently 10, came 21.
Out like a few days before the draft. They said, okay, now he could possibly slide maybe out of the first round. But this is absolutely ridiculous, man. It's collusion. It has to be.
It is. It is.
Like the conspiracy theories 91 could have been plausible, could have been brushed off a little bit, but now it's just blatant. There's no explaining this.
It's blatant disrespect. They're putting their foot down. They don't want that energy in college football from a lot of these athletes. They don't want it in the NFL. So they're putting their foot down. When it's a player that goes against the grain, goes against their values, they're going to collectively put their foot down and say enough is enough. And that's what's going on. The same thing happened with Colin Kaepernick. I know there's a compare, but it's true. Like the same thing happened with Colin Kaepernick. Now, obviously, I don't want to go down that road too much, but we saw a lot of the NFL owners how they felt about Colin Kaepernick, and it was a collective. Like, no, dude, we're not going to give you a job. Now, obviously, you know, they say, oh, well, he should have showed up. That's a different story for another day. For a long time, like, he just couldn't get a job. No team was giving him a fair opportunity. And this is the same with Shedeur Sanders, is that when you go against the grain, these organizations are just going to put their foot down. If you're not humble, if you're not if you're not a person that is humble and very respectful, I believe Shedeur is respectful. But if you're not a guy that goes about it how they believe you should go about it, then they're going to feel a type of way, especially as a quarterback, because they're going to nitpick everything when it comes to the quarterback position. And they just look at Shedeur as the person, the poster child of what's wrong with college football sports. And they don't want that in the NFL. And
Timothy has an interesting take here. He says, not drafting Shedeur will end Coach Prime's coaching career. Ain't no top players going to Colorado after seeing Shedeur be to top 10 players in college football and not even get drafted. I'm not sure if I fully agree with that.
Disagree.
I see where you're coming from, because I just feel like the fact that it was his son factored in more than him playing at Colorado. I feel like it's a few Colorado players that's going to get drafted if they continue to recruit and have a strong recruiting class. It didn't really affect Travis Hunter. We've seen the Jacksonville was traded up to get Travis Hunter, but he is a generational talent in my eyes. So I feel like it does. I think it will kind of affect their recruiting, because teams are going to be like, well, if team's not really rocking with Dion and I'm a player that, played at his school, is it going to be a trickle down effect to me? And I'm trying to, go to the league, make it in the NFL. So I definitely it could raise some questions to young recruits coming in to play for them. But I don't think it's going to end his career per se.
We'll see
But
how their quarterback coming in will look.
I don't think it's going to end his career off the strength that the fact that he's consistently getting a better year after year.
Right.
So yeah, he had a major improvement. Made a bowl game after one season of that program that won 2 games. So you can't. There's no way it's going to end his coaching career.
In 2 years, became a top 25 program, and also they recruited. I think they recruited a 5-star QB. He's going to start for them next year. So we'll see how he looks, and if he shows up, who knows? Who knows? We got another comment.
Opposing coaches going to tell parents don't send your kid. Oh wait, I could put it on screen. Opposing coaches going to tell parents don't send your kid to college because Coach Prime couldn't even get his son drafted. Well, Shiloh isn't really an NFL level talent.
He's not.
He was getting a lot of tick because coaches favor, and we've seen him get benched plenty of times throughout the season. But that Shedeur thing is absolutely insane, though.
It is.
That's definitely going to be a talking point. Recruiters and from other schools are going to bring up. I do agree with that point.
I also forgot to mention Jalen Milroe went ahead of Shedeur as well. So that was another QB that I was like, nah, he's not better than Shedeur. That was ridiculous. So, but man, yeah, this is an all-time. I've never seen something like this before, where the second best QB in the draft, who at one point was projected to go to the top 3, then 9, then 21, becomes a potential day 3 pick. I've never seen this before. This is the first time I've ever witnessed this. So we're gonna remember something.
The last pick in the draft. I'm about to put on my conspiracy hat. Let me check right quick.
I'm looking. Let's see here.
Round 7. Who got the last pick?
I'm looking at it right now.
Chiefs, okay, they ain't draft them.
Yeah, they're not. Chargers at 256. Texans. So Saints have the 254th pick. Let's see here.
What if the Cowboys drafted?
That would be hilarious. That would.
Ever.
What if the Rams draft them? 242. Let's see. Who else? Seattle 234. The Colts maybe 232. The Colts.
That's interesting.
Steelers at 229. I feel like
there's no way he doesn't get drafted this today. I really don't see that. If he doesn't get drafted, then there's a real case for collusion and all that stuff.
I feel like the Steelers have to draft him now. Like, they have to draft him. I don't care if Aaron Rodgers is coming or not. Like, the value at that pick.
40-something years old. He ain't gonna be playing for much longer.
The value at that pick, man, like, I feel like the Steelers got to draft him at this point, bro. Like, I think Mike Tomlin would bring out the best of him. In terms of his personality, he'll figure out a way to deal with it. Although, I will say, them receivers, George Pickens and DK Metcalf,
might not be the best environment for a young QB to come in and play, but, you know.
Yeah. But
he did play under Deion and thrive, so, you know.
Mm-hmm. But
personality on the team. So
I do think that the Steelers they have to pick Shedeur.
Somebody got to take that pick. That is insane. Like, just from a value perspective, it's crazy.
Come on, the second best quarterback in the draft.
Crap out and just draft a good dude that can just play.
The second best quarterback in the draft. Come on, man. I understand his father, and he's a little bit. Come across as a little arrogant at times, but at this point, like, come on now. Raiders, Steelers, Saints, even though you already drafted a quarterback, like, come on, man. Rams, Colts, Browns, Dylan Gray. You can still draft a quarterback. Browns.
I'm losing respect for Coach Mike Tomlin for not demanding Pittsburgh draft Shedeur Sanders. If Mike Tomlin can't pick the 3rd round player, then he has no power. That's interesting.
That is interesting. But they drafted Derek Harmon in the 1st round, so that seems like a Mike Tomlin type of pick, Derek Harmon. So I believe he still has some power. But if they don't draft him at all, then that says a lot about Mike Tomlin and that organization. I do agree to that extent.
Yeah, because it's just nasty work.
because I feel like that would be besides the wide receiver portion, because they could. I've heard rumors of them trading George Pickens, so they could trade George Pickens. But man, he's the second best quarterback in the draft, dude.
Easily.
You got to roll the dice on him. Come on, when you have Mason Rudolph as your quarterback and you don't even know if Aaron Rodgers is going to come or not. Pause. Like, come on now, that's crazy.
Like, it's not even like, okay, if you don't want him to start day one, fine. Let him sit for a year. Maybe learn a little bit on the vet.
That's great.
But like, you don't want him at all. Like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to believe like that, bro. Something nefarious is up. I'm just not going for it.
No, and him sitting would be great. Actually, him sitting for a year, I would be all for that. That would be perfect for him to sit for a year. I wouldn't mind that at all. We got another comment.
I don't like. I'm surprised the Raiders ain't even take a flyer on him. You know, Tom Brady, that's his like mentor.
We got another comment.
I want to know if Coach Prime called Mike Tomlin. It's possible.
I mean, it's possible.
But at the end of the day, it's all about what the GM and ownership wants.
Yeah.
You could bang on the table for a QB or a player, and the GM is just like overruled, and you can't really do much about it.
Yeah. So
it's just nasty, man.
NFL draft is going on right now as we speak. The fourth.
If you watch day 3 of the draft intensively, you
God
a real
you're a real draft head.
I'm outside. Forget
it. Yeah, facts. But just real quick, Cam Scatterboo is going to the Giants. That's a good pick.
Oh Lord,
that's a good pick.
I mean, that's a solid, combo. What they got, Tyrone Tracy. So that's not terrible.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Oh, Bayshaw Tutton went to Jacksonville. I hate it.
Okay,
he was one of my targets, but whatever. Right. Cowboys said we don't need 4th round picks.
But in closing, we'll see. Hopefully, Shedeur gets drafted soon, and I'll give my immediate reactions. But we're gonna end the podcast right here. Thank everybody for showing up, for pulling up to the podcast. We appreciate it. Thank you for your comments as well. But it's unfortunate for Shedeur that he has to sit and deal with something like this. I just hopefully he can learn from this. Hopefully he can get an opportunity to show the league that he can play, that he can be a great quarterback for a team and bring value. And we'll be back to react to it next week. So yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials as well. We're doing another podcast, the NBA. Check out our NBA channel. We're going to do another podcast in a little bit. So check that out. We're going to be reacting to the NBA playoffs. So thank you all. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Salute.
All right.